Hi. Yeah. Well, it's good to meet you, Ivan. For a good start, we
And
haven't
you
really
too.
introduced ourselves at all. But I'm Alan Deacon. I'm a sound designer, post production sound in general, so dialogue editing, Foley, um, dubbing, mixing, sound design, and music if need be. But yes, that's me, and I've been doing this kind of stuff for about 20 years, I guess. Since I did a degree in creative music technology at Bath University.
Okay, so you said that you had some ideas that might affect the shooting, which is why we're having this discussion way ahead of certainly the second draft and any kind of pre-production and production. I personally find it very helpful to have these discussions because it shapes the final draft and and points to any weaknesses and holes that I probably, well, certainly have not thought of. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, apart from that, it's things that I feel can be thought about whilst you're doing the shoot, which will affect the sound. So that's where my angle I'm coming from, as well as a kind of creative sort of addition, perhaps. There's going to be just in general things like phone ringtones. What ringtones are you going to use? If you're going to record them on the actual set, or if you're going to allow them to be put in afterwards. Obviously, they can be put in afterwards, even if they are recorded on location and stuff. But you might come across copyright issues on some particular ringtones and things like that. So that's worth thinking about. So we have phones, quite a lot of ringing going on, don't we?
Right. So then I would suspect it would be better that all phones are on silent, even though they flash up, which is what we'll be seeing anyway. And then you could add the ringtones later so we wouldn't have any issue with that. Is that what you're saying?
Things like that are always better anyway, because then if you do have any dialogue or anything over the top of them, the ringtone doesn't interfere with anything. So as long as the actors are cued properly and they know it's convincing that they're reacting to a ring or whatever, then
What about vibrates? Okay, right?
yeah. I mean, I can put vibration noises in afterwards, and we'll quite often do that as well, and add it as an addition to the ringtone. But yeah, if you actually want the phone to be ringing and to be capturing the screen and all that kind of stuff, you're going to have to get it to respond somehow, aren't you?
Okay, that's a great tip. All right, what else have you got for me?
Okay, so when Athena is in the car and she stops and she's looking at the playground,
Yeah.
I wondered if you could maybe rewrite it a little bit so you kind of have a zoom in on something like a swing, just gently, because you want it to sound silent, don't you? You want it to be like an abandoned moment, yeah. And to make things sound like they are quiet, it's better to have little noises in there that makes the rest of the scene sound quiet, if you know what I mean. So you've got a reference. So
Right.
you could have just a gentle rock of a swing or something like that in the wind. And also I thought that might work when she looks at the empty seat and she's reflecting about her son later in it. That Max, isn't it? Yeah, that she might that might be a sort of poignant moment. You can either do that with like quiet sound, or perhaps maybe just music might work rather than actually having sound design there. So it's a poignant moment where everything is silent and you've just got the music. But because it happens twice, doesn't it? She looks out the window and then we go away somewhere else and then we come back, and so maybe it would be a sound thing the first time and then a music thing the second time potentially.
Yeah, I no, I like the idea of. I mean, I'm not always keen in swamping a whole film in sound. I mean, in music.
Yeah.
I don't know how much score I'll be using at the moment. I tend to keep it as sparse as possible,
Right.
and I guess we can play with it in post. But I like that idea of as long as I get the visuals like a swing moving and something like that, you can add the sound, right?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I assume you want bucket loads of Atmos.
Well, I can add Atmos again,
Okay.
so that's okay, unless there's anything really specific, say you're in a watermill and it's got a very specific clunky sound or something like that, and you wanted to capture that particular sound. I don't really need much in the way of wild track. Scout is the main thing I would think we'd need wild track for. It'd be nice if you got a lot of sound of him making these noises in the room, so that you can hear it before we get into the room.
Yeah. Okay.
But you got that sound coming down the stairs and through the door or whatever, as an approach to it, rather than it coming sort of suddenly in as you get into the room, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that was just something that I thought might need quite a lot of wild track or a few takes, just to allow us to pick stuff out of it that's not in the actual take that you show. Yeah.
Okay, great. Would it help if when I've got the sound recorders, if I connect you with him or her, and you can say, listen, this is all the stuff we absolutely have to get?
Sure. Or I could write you a list and you pass it to them.
Magic. Yeah. Yeah.
The third part was TV sound. So in my book, it might be better if you never actually see the TV. You only ever see the light from the TV on his face or something like that, unless you're going to make a little production and show it on the TV. You'd have to make up your own TV show and kind of show it on the TV. And if you do that, then we've obviously got to get the sound from that and make it sound like it's coming out of a TV and blah, blah, blah. But it might be simpler and quite good as well, I think, to have so you don't really know what he's watching, but you've got the sound of it. But I would need some sort of direction as to what kind of program he's watching. And
I would think, if you saw my chrysanthemum, there's a bit where they're watching TV and you don't see the TV, you see it from behind the TV, and they're just sat on the couch watching. So it'd be that kind of thing. We'll just see him or her point the remote, and they're sucked in. I would think it'd probably be some YouTube nonsense, and it could be very indistinct, like wow, blah, 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 it doesn't matter, just nonsense, that kids love. That's what was in my mind. It'll just be it's that kind of instant gratification crap that they just eat up,
But obviously, for copyright reasons, you'd have to produce that yourself. So if it needs voices and things like that, that might be better coming from your end. If you maybe write a little script or something and get some actors in to do it, and or maybe some of your fellow students or something like that could do it.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that. And that's another extra production piece which I hadn't thought of. I'm just wondering if it could be, if we could just have indistinct. If you look at my, did you manage to see Chrysanthemum?
I haven't watched it yet. No,
okay. Well, if you watch it, there's a scene where they're both sat on the couch watching TV, and all you have is some music, laughter, and cheering and clapping. That was all post. There was no. I didn't have to create anything. So something similar to that, where there's no voices, just crazy music and laughter, anything like that, because it'll only be for a couple of seconds, I would think, maybe 5 seconds at the most, I would think.
Okay, although I wondered if you would hear it in the background a little bit, through the door or
you might, but it'd be very faint and muffled.
Yeah, but we just get the vibe of something there. Okay, well, music is good. I can bash you off some cheesy music.
Yeah. Let's. If I'm in the mood for being really creative, maybe I'll do something that's thematic and, kind of suits the mood. We'll see. But otherwise, I'm thinking just kind of distant, muffled nonsense, because I don't really want it to distract from the story in any way,
No, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But it's a good point. I hadn't thought of that, so that's great.
But it's something to think about, isn't it? Yeah. and sound wise, again, remember that anything can be put in.
Yeah.
So it's better to start with clean sound and build it up than it is to try and record too much and have to get rid of stuff, you know?
Yeah. So sound-wise, I've got. I'm going to be recording on the Rode NTG5 for my for my shotgun, and I've got the Sennheiser AVX lavs.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure they're going to be excellent. So I was thinking of recording both just so we've got a backup.
Yeah, and it's all indoors, isn't it? There's no kind of outdoor recording apart from the playground scene, which you don't need to have sound on there. You just need good images, and then all the sound can be put in afterwards.
She does get out of the car. No, she does get out of the car, remember, and she talks to Radhika on the phone outside.
And again, well, to keep that as quiet as possible, you know, you're going to use the lavs, and if they're doing their job properly, you maybe don't want too much of the boom sound in there. But yeah, I can juggle those as long as the lav sound is good and not covering crackles and rustles and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, hopefully the sound guy will know how to mic up so there's no rustling. And I'll be, in any case, I've got the Zoom F6, so I'm recording separate tracks in 32-bit float. Is that okay with you?
Fine, yeah. The only other thing is, if we do come across issues like that, will you have accessibility to the actors to do some ADR or something?
Yeah, I should be able to. I guess I'd have to do that here or in London. This room is very quiet. We might get away with being able to do all the ADR here.
Okay, and obviously if you're going to do that, have the mic as close as possible, because you can always make things sound distant, but you can't make them sound closer.
Yeah.
As little of your room as possible, and you know, maybe even hang a duvet or something like that, just to stop the wall reflection. Cool, brilliant. All right. I prefer stuff coming from Final Cut because I use Logic. My tool, so it's kind of like that's a better transition route than from other editing stuff. But generally, what I have to do is import it into Pro Tools and then re-export it to be able to use it in Logic, which is a pain in the.
No problem. No problem. We'll do Final Cut Pro. I'm hoping I won't be editing. I may have to, but
to use their software of choice, I would think, because there's always a way of getting it into Logic. You know, if it doesn't take, it's not a very big film, is it? So it's not going to be much data and not going to take too long to. As long as all the files turn up in the right places, then we're happy, aren't we? Yeah, I'm okay with that as long as we get a good export from them.
Yeah.
If either Pro Tools or Logic will read it, then we're happy. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, was there anything else that we need to go over?
I don't think so.
All right.
I don't think so.
All right. Okay, that's it. I will say ta-ta, and we'll catch up again soon.
All right, Ivan. Nice one. Nice to meet you.
You too, Alan. Thanks a lot. Catch up with you soon. Bye.